Haven't had a chance to do this in a while, but I wanted to start doing this. This is where I close out the day with some of the more interesting calls or emails or people that came to the office to let you know what they were going through, so you can, number one, understand that you're not alone with the types of credit and debt issues that you might be going through, or debt collection lawsuits that you might be going through, that you're not the only one. And I think by kind of doing this, it can kind of open the window to let you know how we handled either by giving information to the individual to help themselves, or by taking them in as a client and telling you the solutions that we were going to be working on for them. So first, with credit repair, there are no issues with credit repair. That's pretty much goes smooth because we have a very good process on what we're going to be doing with people after we do a review of their credit reports and scores. You know, that as long as they do what's asked of us, we're going to continually do that work, as needed. So that, no hiccups on there. We did have one furniture debt validation that came back that was shown on an individual's credit report. And just in case you did not know, whenever that happens, what we do is we repackage that dispute and send it to the credit reporting agencies, because it is a violation for a lender to not have an accurate address on file shown on your credit report. I know of companies, at one point I was part of a company that did finance, and let me tell you, when you apply to be a lender, the next thing that you want to do is you want to be able to put information on individuals' credit reports. So if they don't pay you, they're going to, you can put their either a good payment history or bad payment history. But the number one thing that they do with all of the major credit reporting agencies is that they're going to send someone out to look at your location to make sure that you're really in the business. The reason why, in the past, there were people that were putting information on people's credit reports and they were not really in business. They were just taking the money from the individual and putting the information on their credit reports. They were not either a car dealer, they were not a lender, they were not whoever they claimed they were not. They were just setting up some scheme to be able to take money and put information on people's credit reports. So what they do is they send an auditor out to, number one, make sure that the location is legitimate, the address. They take pictures, and then go on the inside, take pictures of everything on the inside. And they want to see proof that you're in the business that you're going to be claiming that you're in, to put the information on individuals' credit reports. They want to make sure that. And so what we do is we package that up, and you can do this too. You package that up with that return letter and you submit that to the bureaus. That information will come off of the credit reports. That's if they do their investigation properly. Sometimes it may take a couple of times, but when we do that, the information will come off, because they have to have a legal, legitimate, verifiable address to put that information on your credit reports. That's why if you get the credit monitoring services that is paid, it has a section on there that has the addresses. They don't make that section on there for nothing. That section is on there for you to be able to know who you are dealing with, and they're supposed to know who they're dealing with. So now, that's the next thing that we dealt with. I had a gentleman call the office back. I think I personally spoke with him probably about 6 months ago, and he was under extreme hardship, but he was with a debt settlement company, but he always would say debt consolidation. I told him, in a way you're consolidating, but you're really just consolidating the payment that you're paying for your escrow, they're not consolidating the debt. What they're doing is they're trying to get a settlement for the debt. And so I wanted to mention his situation because he's like back and forth between if these companies will accept payments, they won't accept payments, will they accept what he can afford? Some of them have judgments. They're going to go to do garnishments unless he gets something in place. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to just start from the beginning so he can have clarity. When you go and sign up with these debt settlement companies, they are not consolidating your debt. They're not paying anything. Consolidation, what they've done to the industry is they've made mass confusion about what consolidating debt means. It's like now consolidating debt has two different definitions. Their definition is you're bringing all your debt to them. They're taking a payment instead of the bigger payment that you were paying on all of the debt. You're paying them a small payment, but that payment is not going to your creditors yet. It's building up in hopes that when they start to contact those creditors, that they will accept a settlement that is less. Plus, there's a up to 25% fee that they tack on per debt. So if you had a $10,000 debt and they settled the debt for $5,000, it's actually going to be $7,500 for that settlement. We don't do it that way, but I'm just telling you so you can have clarity, because a lot of people say, I have enough money in my escrow, but why aren't they settling the debt? They're not settling the debt because you have to pay them the fee also. And a lot of people run into that. But so I made it clear to him, you're not in a consolidation program in the way that you think of a consolidation program. You're in a consolidation program in the way that they think a consolidation program is. So with all of those debts, I said you need to focus on the company that you're with. I told him I think that it would be best for him to stay with that company, but he needs to get a clear understanding of what they're going to do, and they need to get to work on his file, because with the companies, the collections companies, some of them got judgments and they're going to go to garnish. When they garnish his wages from his job, which he lives in a state that they can garnish his wages, they're going to take the payment every pay period. They're not going to wait for a monthly payment. That's why it's very important when we work with people with doing settlements and they have to do payments. It always works out better than having your paycheck garnished, because they're going to garnish every paycheck. Every paycheck, 25%, 25%, 25%. But if you are proactive about this and either you do it or you get with a company like ours that does it this way, you can have a payment that you can afford to make. You know, you get discounted off the principal balance, discount off of the fees and everything that they've thrown on there. You want to get that discounted and you want to start making payments, but you won't get hit every pay period, which is going to again make it very difficult for you to be able to move forward. The next one we had here was Navy Federal. I should have led with this one. The Navy Federal case for a client that got a response created by our company. She was being sued for $18,000, had to go through hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing for a full year. This morning, she called us and said that she won the case. The case is dismissed. For her to get that response created, it was $349. They were suing her for $18,000. If she would have lost the case, it was $18,000 and some change, but let's just keep the numbers small, rounded off. So she saved $17,651 by getting that response done. Now, I bring that up because this is what she was going through. First, she had to get over the hump of even trying. And I understand, because the number one, when you get served, you don't know what to do, what to say. Seems like the world is pointed fingers at you. You know, you already done struggling with your money, and now you got this thing to worry about that's over your head. Some people, she says she couldn't even sleep at night. Like, if you have $18,000 that comes to your doorstep tomorrow saying, we are a law firm and we are suing you in court, what are you going to do? A lot of people jump on down. In the past, they would just go and try to get templates or go to some of these other websites that offer these quickie responses that don't have any real defenses in them. People would do that, or they would go to ChatGPT and think about that. And I'm just here to tell you that the way that we do it is, number one, we know how to defend against these types of cases, and you don't have to get an attorney as long as you're willing to fight in court, which means that you go off of your defense. You just stick to your defense that's already written. They just kept making her come to court to see if she was going to quit, because they never were going to be able to overcome the defense. And then finally, this morning, she had another hearing, and the judge dismissed the case. So she's not going to have to pay that. She paid $349 to get her response created, and now it saved her $17,651. That's that was well worth it for her. So if you're being sued by a debt collector, you need to either contact us to have us create it for you, or you can go to summonsmaster.com to get that created. Now, on the flip side, it's crazy how it always either comes in twos or threes. Gentleman contacted us. He's being sued by Navy Federal for a little over $21,000, but he missed the response period, the deadline. In his state, they gave 30 days. They said, if you don't get in here in 30 days, it's all over. It's like a boxing match. You're out. And, you know, they count 1, 2, they count in the 10, but they counted to 30 days. Day 1, 2, 3, 4. And once it hit that 30 days, they said, you lose. You got a judgment against you for not responding, a default judgment. He was served. So this type of default judgment is very, very difficult. Very difficult to overcome. Very difficult. We can help you in that situation, but it's very difficult to overcome. And we always have conversations with individuals who find themselves in this situation where they were served. They knew about it. They just let the deadline go away. So lesson number one. What's lesson number one? If you're served with a debt collector lawsuit, original creditor lawsuit, what do you need to do? Answer me. Tell me. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. If you're served with a lawsuit, what do you got to do? You got to respond. You got to respond the right way. If you're going to give yourself a chance to win your case, and you don't know what to say, how to say it, when to say it, all of that, you don't want to put yourself in that situation. What you want to do is you want to put yourself in a situation where you have a defense that's going to do all the talking for you. That's what we do for you. You can either go to summonsmaster.com, and when you go to SummonsMaster, you create one PDF file with your summons. One PDF file. That's all you need, and you choose either original creditor response or debt collector response. You cannot mess it up. And all summons that are completed have human oversight. So if you did something wrong, which would only be choosing either original creditor when you should have chosen debt collector, or vice versa. That's not really the only thing that people have done wrong. We will contact you and we will get that corrected so you had a correct summons response. ChatGPT ain't going to do that for you. If you go to an attorney, it's going to be about $2,500, and they're really going to try to push you into settling the case. And you always, just think about it, you always had an option to settle the case, but why not fight? Why not throw your biggest punch at them, just like she did with her Navy Federal case that got dismissed that was over $18,000. So now, if you have a case and you miss that deadline, call there, but if they will not allow you to have an extended period of time, then you're going to need to call us to help work with you on reopening your case, and we can also go over the other options that are available for you. What you need to do is go to our website, thecreditrepairshop.com, or to summonsmaster.com, and put your information in there. Let us know what happened. Be upfront. Don't worry. We don't judge you. Nothing to be embarrassed about. We've all been in the same shoes that you might be in right now. And we will reach back out to help you with that. Another one that came in today. Individual had a default judgment for $21,000. A debt collection attorney bought the debt. They signed it over to them, and it's over the years it has ballooned up to $42,000. $42,000. I have experience with this because this one of the ways that I've learned this whole thing is that I got sued from a business that I owed years ago that I was part of, and it ballooned up from $50,000 to over $100,000. I hired an attorney to help with this. They did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, the attorney did not even do their homework because I would not have had to pay that debt. I didn't know that at that time. This was years ago. We're talking the early 2000s. I did not know. But if that if the attorney that I hired would have just simply done the work that we do for people right now when any lawsuit comes, and what Summons Master already has programmed into it, if they would have just simply done that, I would not have had to pay anything. Let me tell you, for me to just get that done and over with, I had to pay $42,000. It was actually $42,500 for a case. And so I had to pay the attorney. I think it was around $2,800, and it would have probably been double now. Paid attorney $2,800, and I had to pay $42,000 just to get this done and over with. If I knew if I could pick myself up and do that Back to the Future, like that Back to the Future movie, and went back to the past, what I know now, I would not have had to pay anything. Zero. Think about that. Zero. That's the second time that happened to me. The first time it happened to me was with that Citibank credit card where it was past the statute of limitations, and I didn't know. They were coming after me for $4,500. I went into court and I fought it because I was like, I was 18 years old when I had that debt, and there was no way at 18 years old in the U.S. Army making $600 a month total, but I think that was after taxes, that I was going to have a credit card from Citibank for $4,500. And guess what? I didn't. They had ballooned it all up. And because I just knew that I didn't have it, I got lucky and got the debt collection company, which is Roush, this was when they were first starting. So if you ever been sued by Roush, Strum, and Hornick, I actually went against attorney Roush in court and got him to settle that debt for $500. It shouldn't have even been that. If I would have knew what I knew now, so I would have had to go back to the future and even further back to the future, to the 1990s, I wouldn't have had to pay anything because it was past the statute of limitations. So getting with the right people is going to get you to the right place. And I think one of the things that people are kind of, what they're fearful of is they think that if they get their summons response created with Summons Master or through us, that's it. Like we're like all the other companies, like we're done. No, we have an aftercare program. So when you get your summons response created, you have our phone number, and when it gets close to your court date, you can call to just do a quick review. Or if something comes up, you can call us, or you can send us an email and we'll answer it. Like, we're here. Other companies, they don't have this type of experience, so they really start to hide after they take your money. We are there for you. And I think that that's why maybe you're apprehensive about using Summons Master or coming to the credit repair shop to have your summons response created. Just so you know, the lady that I talked about earlier that got her case dismissed, she called us probably every month while she was going through her stuff. She would call us before she had to go into a hearing. And mainly what we would always tell her is just go offer your defense. She just couldn't believe it because she thought that she had to always come up with something new when she had another hearing. And she was shocked that all she had to do was stand with the response that we created. And she stood for 1 full year. And this morning they dismissed her case. So don't make a mistake like some of these other people and go to these other websites that you don't even know who is really behind them. Come with the company that is actually doing this, with the owner of the company that actually went through it. It's another thing when a person understands how you feel, because it's not just about having the solution and paying the money. It's about kind of lowering those fears and anxieties. I remember I had trouble sleeping. First thing I had to do, especially for the big one, the small one, even for the small one that was $4,500, it was tough for me and my wife at that time. We had just got our business kind of going. I think that time frame was around 1994, 95. And even at that time, just, you take this to your wife and you're like, this came in the mail and we're getting sued. It seemed like how remember how Martin Lawrence, he'd be like, oh, Gina, I don't, but it was kind of like that. It was like, I got to take that to her. And I knew I was going to fight, because I knew I didn't owe that amount of money. And she was just like, just go there and do what you got to do. And I ended up with the 500. And I can even tell you, even with the 500, it wasn't, at that time for us, even though I'm a business owner at that time, it was still tough for the $500, but we just paid it. It was done. But I wouldn't have had to pay anything if I do what I do now. With the one for $42,000, when we getting sued, just imagine you get the lawsuit in hand. Lawsuit in hand comes to your door. You sign for it, and it's over 100,000. I don't even want to use the word right now. You know what word I'm thinking about. And then I got to take this to my wife and say, we're getting sued for $100,000 plus. And my wife has always backed me up on this. We've been married going on about to be 36 years next year. And, but she was like, rather than getting upset with me, she said, we need to start looking at the options. But even after I had let her know about it, I was still like, it was trouble sleeping, because you're just like, what are you going to do? Because you don't want anything to just go wrong. Like, I know how you're feeling. And so having someone like me who has went through it, had the feeling, had to tell my wife about it, and had to work my way through it, I learned a lot about dealing with these attorneys. And when we deal with these attorneys, if it ever gets to where you have to do settlements, like we tell people, throw your best punch, but if it ever gets to where you have to do a settlement, we know how to do that because I've done the settlements for myself. Like, I've done it myself. And it's not, people, like, if you go to any attorney, I'm not going to paint everybody with the same brush, but if you go to people that have not had the experience from the other side, it's going to be like a dry experience. First thing that my team will ask you is about your hardship, because I just don't believe that anybody is just not trying to pay. Yeah, you might have some people out there, but I don't believe that anybody is just got stuff and not trying to pay. I'm just not thinking that way of individuals. And if you're that type of individual, don't come to us for the solution. We deal with people who they were making payments. They had a life experience. As a matter of fact, the gentleman that with the $21,000 Navy Fed is going through some stuff right now. I'm not going to go and elaborate into details. And I told him how he could actually use that to kind of help his situation. I gave him that information. But having someone who has went through it with the feelings, all the levels of feelings, and then came through on the other end makes a huge difference. Makes a huge difference. The next thing I want to talk about was this came across my desk, and I did not believe it at first, but it has been verified that this is true. Young lady called our office needing some help. She got a payday loan. This payday loan is at over 50%, 58.95% interest, which is going to be very hard to overcome making the minimum payments on this. The loan was for only $970. So you got a huge amount of interest put on there. But this is what was the shocking part. I mean, people do what they do. Need the money. I don't judge on that. This is what got her attention and what made her reach out to the credit repair shop is that the individual from the payday loan company, I guess they got someone that's out there. It must be a small knit community. I don't know. But the individual was out there serving other people who had gotten loans from the payday loan company, saying that they're going to be going to court, like serving them the documents. And they saw her, and she was a week late on her payment. 1 week late on her payment. And the person made threatening statements saying, if you don't pay, we're going to sue you, which is something that they're not allowed to do until the payment goes into default. And then if they make that threat, they have to sue the individual. But then I was looking at the documents. I saw those documents, and I was looking at the other documents. And this is some of the stuff that they made her sign up for when she got the payday loan. And I made a video about this. This is one of the first videos I made for my channel. We're talking years ago. I talked about credit life insurance. Credit life insurance. And people were like, what is credit life insurance? Well, these insurances can pay lenders either payments or pay off the whole debt if something happens. And when I was reading through the documents, I was like, why do they got these insurance from American Federated Insurance Company? And it had all of these things on her, but it said, it made it quite clear that they were not going to pay for theft. And I was like, what do they mean by theft? Is this some sort of like, like that car repair insurance? Is it something like that? And then we got her back on the phone. We were like, no, it was a payday loan. So this is the insurances that they had her pay for with their payday loan. She had credit life insurance, so they tacked on another $63. She had accident health life insurance. They tacked on another $56. Property insurance, which they tacked on another $67. Well, we don't even know what. If you're not going to insure against theft, why would you have that type of insurance on here? Public officials fee. We don't even know what that is. Unemployment insurance, $40. Public officials fee was $18. The unemployment insurance fee, $40. And then Liberty Motor Club fee, $120. So this is all of the stuff that they tacked on to the loan that she got. And when I looked at it, the actual loan that she got in money in hand was only $623.65. So they gave her a loan for that total amount, but she only got in hand $623.85. So I know what you might be thinking, and you know what I'm thinking, that this payday loan company has figured out a way to really take advantage of individuals. I'm not going to mention their name. So now, in that video that I made years ago about credit life insurance, if she had trouble making the payments, she has several options here. If she becomes unemployed, that $40 that she paid for, they have to make payments if she proves of unemployment. If there's an accident and she can't make payments, she can file a claim on that. If there, with the credit life insurance, from my understanding of what that has meant for other individuals in the past, and I've usually only seen that on auto loans, subprime auto loans, they would have had to make the payments on that. What goes around comes around when it comes to this type of stuff. So I'm going to end the video here. You know what I always say, if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch video What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. The link is below on this video. If you're being sued or by debt collectors or original creditors, or you have debt collection letters coming to you, go to summonsmaster.com. You can upload your debt collection letter and get the best, most effective debt validation letter on the market today created. All you got to do is sign it. You only got to date it. It's going to scan it, put it together for you. If you have debt collectors trying to sue you or original creditors trying to sue you, make your file one PDF file. If you have trouble doing that, we can do it for you. You upload that in the Summons Master. Choose the appropriate response, either original creditor or debt collector response, and it will create a fully formatted response to every allegation against you and a defense to help you potentially win your case. And it's utilized by human oversight, so we will look at your response to make sure you chose the correct one. Please subscribe to the channel. Post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and Founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.